It's a trap!
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
This is the Team of Rivals podcast.
Everything you want to hear from the big sports to the big screen.
He's all by himself, fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No! Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
Doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
Time winding down. Michael for three. Yes! She is gone!
I don't believe what I just saw!
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
You believe in miracles?
You may fire when ready.
What?
Good evening, Cubs and Cardinals fans. It's Thursday, May 26th, and this is the Team of Rivals podcast, proud members of the Gateway City Sports Network, where you can find great podcast and blog content. You can follow us online at teamofrivalspodcast.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Rumble at Team of Rivals Podcast, and we're on Twitter and Getter at Team of Rivals Pod. And for those of you watching us after the fact on YouTube or Rumble or Facebook, anyway, hit the like and subscribe buttons. Be sure to ring that bell so that you receive notifications anytime we post new content. Look, we're sure that you don't look to us for any kind of social commentary anyway, because we're just three idiots who happen to record a podcast. But if you were looking to the Team of Rivals podcast to vent about the goings on in Texas this week, because Ron, Elliott, and I all have children who are in that age range, came to the wrong place. Not that we're going to provide any respite for you with our idiocy or provide any clarity. But again, if you were looking for somebody to vent, if you were looking for somewhere to provide a little bit more context, keep going, because we're not going to provide it here. We've all had our opportunities to process it, and this is our opportunity to blow off a little steam. And we hope that that's why you're here to join us as well, is to blow off a little steam on your own. That having been said, joining me for tonight's show, co-founder of Team of Rivals and number 104 in the 2021 edition of the Top Cards on Twitter, Ron Nuttall, permanent occasional, I can't even talk tonight, guest host, Elliott Dewey. Gentlemen, I've often thought of myself as, I work in the education field, so I've often thought of myself as Socrates. So from now on, I'd like you to refer to me as Socrates, because I reckon I have the same impact on educators that Socrates does. So, when you think of me, you think of Socrates. Yeah.
When I think of you, Pete, I think of somebody that thinks they're Socrates.
Hey, don't, how dare you call me Socrates? Don't you call me Socrates. You're making fun of me. Racist.
My God. We went from not commenting on the biggest story in the world to Pete calling me that. Wow, I'm so offended.
How dare you?
Dude, son of a bitch.
How dare you?
If I could play the X music, I would right now, but I...
Oh, and just so you know, as you're listening to this week's podcast, if it sounds a little funky, that's because I'm recording from the balcony. Ron's recording in the middle of a tornado, and Elliott's got a porn stash. So
if you hear any scratchiness, it's just the stash.
It's just Elliott rubbing it up against that windscreen right there. Oh, do it again. Let's get maximum value out of this.
Oh yeah, see, that's good, Elliott. Ron, nice lead in. You gave me enough time to crank up the sliders on that, so hopefully it'll come through.
Well, let's get maximum value out of it again, Pete. Crank up the slider even more. Turn the volume up on your internet. And Elliott, stand by. I want you to rub that stash all over that windscreen on that. In fact, take the windscreen off.
We're going to do a little editing.
That's going to be pure.
We're going to do some editing after the fact too. We're going to isolate it.
Are you ready for this?
All right, so you got nothing but mesh screen. Go ahead, rub that stash on there.
Oh, yeah.
Who wants a mustache ride?
I do.
Well, gentlemen, just when you thought that it was safe to be a Cubs fan and to feel at least a little good about them beating up on teams that are even worse than they are, they lose 20-5 to the Cincinnati Reds.
Jesus Christ.
Just when they had a positive run differential, you go and you do something like that.
Every pitcher today gave up a run. You don't often see that.
You cannot pay attention to that run differential, man. It is
so misleading.
Hear stat guys throw out all kinds of things all the time, right? And I love the ones that say batting average doesn't matter. Those are my favorite version.
Yep.
Which talk to Tony Gwynn might have something to say about that.
Yeah,
maybe Rod Carew. But yeah, run differential is a deceiving thing, right? It might look like, hey, this team has their run prevention together, but what it doesn't account for are the blowouts and the shutouts, right? It completely ignores all that stuff. And so the Cardinals are a victim of this, Elliott. If you looked at their run differential, you'd be like, oh shit, man, this team should be like 10 games over 500. They're not. And it's because they are feaster. And it doesn't account. Here, boil it down to this. Run differential does not count for the offense that is subject to feast or famine. It can deceive you on that one.
Well, you know what it's like, what it should be like? It really should be like Olympic judging in figure skating or in gymnastics. You throw out the high score, you throw out the low score, and then that's the score that you get for your performance. Maybe that's what baseball ought to do a little bit when they're calculating run differential. Throw out the top 10 outliers and throw out the bottom 10 outliers, and then you get a fairly truer picture of exactly what a team is capable of.
Over the long haul, Pete, you're probably, in over 162 games, that stuff levels out anyway. But
you'd like to think so.
You of course. But that's, unfortunately, that's what I've experienced this season so far. You get a blowout, then you get a shutout, and it's inevitable, right? The Cardinals scored 9+ runs one night. You're like, well, inevitably they're going to face a pitcher they've never faced before. None of us know him. And they're going to get shut down like for 7 innings, and that's pretty commonplace. I'm sure it's not exclusive to St. Louis. I'm sure it hits everybody, but the Cubs 20-5 against Cincinnati. I'm sure they didn't score that many runs in like 2 weeks prior combined.
Well, and yeah, and you think about it, Ron, you're absolutely right, because Elliott, this is what we've been complaining about for the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah. It was the same thing with the Cubs.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
you get one version one day and then one the next, and you just hope that if you bothered to buy a ticket, you would strike gold, and
you look at them, blowing out the Pirates in 2 games, like 32 runs to 1 or 2 or something like this. And then you've got, they handled them in the first 2 games. And then all of a sudden it's like, Kyle Hendricks couldn't find a glove. All he found were bats. And then, Stroman, he found a ton of bats. So I don't know. I guess Stroman won his game, but Steele he did not have, he fell apart. Something happened. He had his first couple innings were pretty good, and then the 3rd inning, it's like, nope. Would he throw 9 or 10 balls in a row? And then Rossi's like, you got to get him out of here. But then nobody else could find it.
Yep.
So
yeah, and it just kind of snowballs. that lack of that lack of confidence in your own stuff, and then obviously once you start teeing off on pitchers, that also builds within a lineup, and pretty soon the whole lineup's feeling good.
And the crazy part is that was the lineup that, we finally got the guys healthy back. We got Contreras back. You got Horner back. You had that lineup in there that, hey, this is the lineup that I really would like to see out there most days. And
5 runs.
It's not like they didn't score anything.
Right, 5 runs on a normal day is you have a fighting chance to win that game.
Yeah. But they got singled and doubled, and just would the Reds have 5 or 6 homers?
I don't know. I was at work, so I missed it all.
It was bad.
And for those of you, obviously, you're listening to this at home, and what you can't see is the reason that Ron has been so quiet is not because he got up to go get himself another drink, or because maybe he had to go potty, which we thought might happen right before we came on. But he's staring up at his ceiling as though it's about to come down on him. So actually, We're not recording with Ron tonight. We're recording with Dorothy. And apparently she's afraid that she's going to be picked up and go to Oz any minute now.
That's not true. There's something flying around in the garage. And I can hear it buzzing, little tiny wings hitting up against the wall, and it's freaking me out. It might probably like a June bug or something, but I'm just kind of wondering where it's coming from. So a little nervous.
Ron, you're afraid of a June bug.
I don't know if it's a June bug, man. I'm trying to speculate. Could be a
vampire
bat.
Could be Dracula.
I don't know.
Nosferatu.
You're going to become Morbius.
Oh,
heard that movie sucked.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Oh, did you see it, Pete?
I've seen a lot of movies the last couple of months. Yeah.
Okay. So let's get to that in the back half.
It wasn't great.
We can reserve that, but yeah. So yeah, I know we were talking about disappointments, expectations. Just guys, I struggled a little bit last year with just the doldrums of the regular season when your team's not that fun to watch, and sometimes mine is not. A rookie was called up. I think we talked about it last week. Nolan Gorman finally made his arrival to major leagues. You got to take it with a grain of salt when they arrive against the Pirates, right? Like, great series. But when you start facing stiffer competition, usually that kind of sorts things out a little bit, So he's in the starting lineup tonight. Everything so far, I would say, so good for Gorman. I don't know if he will ultimately stick up at this level this year, but they don't have a lot of alternatives. And you trace it all back to just the collapse of Paul DeJong, whose numbers in AAA are just awful. Like, this guy's fallen off the table, like at a rate that is just, it makes your head spin. I don't know if this guy will see the major league level again, at least not with St. Louis. I see that as a long shot at this point. And you would think that somebody who started out, had a couple all-star appearances, had a great rookie campaign. Like, what happens to these guys when they, like, their fourth, fifth year, where they just look completely lost? Like, they look like a rookie should in their fourth or fifth year. How do you digress this much? How do you look like the game was slower for you in your rookie season than it is in your fifth season?
Is he hurt? Is he sick? Is he dealing with something? Like, as
Elliott, I don't know, man. I truly don't know. All I know is that you see a player when they're playing, they look completely lost at the plate, and you're wondering how that happens. Like, how are you more aware and locked in in your first or second year than you are your fifth? It's just it's mind-boggling what happened.
That's tough.
Baseball is such a mental game. We all know this, right? Like, David Eckstein had an excellent career, and if you would have put him in he had such a solid career as a player, but if you put him in a NFL type combine for Major League Baseball, a player like that's going to be a long shot to make it, because while he doesn't have the physical skills everybody else does, but that proves that baseball is such a mental game. You can have all the skills in the world. You could be a batting cage champion.
Didn't David Eckstein drive a Toyota Camry that his sister gave him for like his first
maybe
10 years of baseball?
And you know what? And Rod Beck, former Giant and Cub, was maybe one of the most humble players I've ever read about or heard of. But I'd say David Eckstein is a close second.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And that's why baseball is such a game of managing, not just managing your body and your performance and training. It is equal, if not more, managing that space between your ears.
It's 50%. I would argue it's between 50 and 60% between your ears.
Yeah,
you know what's interesting to me that you never hear? You hear all the time about pitchers and position players getting the yips when it comes to throws. You never hear about yips when it comes to hitting, but I mean, it's got to be a real thing, right? Just because the yips on throws, everybody says it's mental. There's nothing physical about it.
Well, I think of the movie Pete, Tin Cup, like
right.
Kevin Costner's character, where he lost his swing and tried all the gadgets and everything to try to fix it and just couldn't do it.
Yep.
You have to think that players in baseball suffer from the same kind of thing. Like, they had a great swing, they had it all figured out. All of a sudden, one thing happened, or one bad stretch happened, and now they're trying to overcompensate. They're trying all kinds of tricks, getting advice from like multiple people, and just got them so twisted up that they just lost themselves. And I don't know how you get it back.
Well, look at somebody like John Lester, who was one of the best pitchers in baseball for so many years, where from 60 foot 6 inches, he could throw a baseball wherever he wanted. But you ask him to throw it over to first from the rubber, he couldn't do it. He had to bounce it over.
Except when Tommy Pham was talking shit over there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, he bounced it over there when Tommy Pham was 15 feet off the base.
Well, Tim McCarver gave him the extra oomph he needed to pick him off. So because he's not going not going over.
He had a tiny KMOX radio in his ear.
That's right.
And just gave him the proper motivation to be able to actually throw a ball somewhere in the proximity of first base.
So Ron, we did talk about it a little bit last week. We didn't get on, but we talked about it among us. And obviously you talked a little bit about Gorman, but Matthew Liberatore also got called up. How has he looked? Yeah. And has he had an opportunity to get on the mound, and how's he looked? Enlighten us Cubs fans.
No. It wasn't the debut that most were hoping for. I think most that amongst Cardinals Twitter people were hoping for 7 innings, no runs.
They wanted revenge for the Rosarina trade.
Yeah,
they wanted to make it all back in one start.
But the thing is, Pete, I think at the very time that
did he freeze? Uh-oh. All right, so we're recording, and right now, Ron may be dead because his screen is frozen. So either the tornado has picked him up and carried him away, or he's been attacked by that June bug. And he is currently being slowly tickled to death by the... Oh, wait. Is he maybe back?
He's back.
Am I back?
You're back.
It says my connection's unstable.
I'll say.
Of course, I heard a lightning bolt. I didn't hear a lightning bolt. You see those. But I heard thunder. Just about when you guys said you couldn't hear me anymore. But yeah, no, you asked about Matthew Liberatore, and I'm like, it probably wasn't the debut that most were hoping for, because you're right. It was justifying, hey, we traded away this World Series All-Star in Rosarina, and we're looking to somehow make that okay. And so people were hoping for a 7-inning shutout with only 3 hits and everything, but they didn't get that against the Pirates. He was sent down immediately, but called back up. Steven Matz went down. The Cardinals' fragility in their pitching staff is starting to rear its head. The thinness they had in the pitching staff that they suffered through last year. You thought they would have maybe overcompensated a little bit for that, but they didn't do it. And so now the pitching has become a question, guys. I warned about this a month ago. We talked about, Pete, I think you asked what could collapse here, and I'm like, it is the pitching. That could be the thing. I think the experiment with Jordan Hicks has come to an end too. Good guy out of the bullpen, throws smoke, but he can't get past 4 innings. You cannot tax your bullpen every 5th day like that. Almost guaranteed. And the way it goes, it's not just taxing your bullpen every 5th day. It's most rotations these days. 2 or 3 times through, they're going to have to tap into that bullpen as early as the 5th inning. When you continue to do that, you're going to burn through people. And so this is a powder keg, man. This is the whole pitching situation.
I feel like the Cardinals need to use Jordan Hicks like the Cubs have been using Keegan Thompson, where he's not necessarily a starter, but he's not a 1-inning relief guy. He's a 3-inning relief guy or a 4-inning relief guy, somebody that if somebody exits early or doesn't have a good start, he can, even if it's him coming in the 2nd or 3rd inning, he's going to give you 4 solid innings and keep you in the game no matter where you at and give you a chance. Maybe the Cardinals need to start using Jordan Hicks in that way, where if you have one of your starters who just has an off night, you keep him in there, and that's what he's used for.
Well, I'd say the one thing that's kind of been a positive thing that's come out of what we expected in St. Louis this year has been the bullpen, has been the back end. Brian Helsley has all of a sudden emerged as a very capable and solid arm. I mean, the guy can throw 103 miles an hour, right? seems like we talk about that this day and age in commonplace. Like a lot of guys throw 100 plus miles an hour, and major league hitters eventually adjust to that. But he has a changeup to mix in, and we all know if you got a changeup, you got an effective changeup that you can control. You're talking potential Trevor Hoffman like stuff there, right? It's a very hard thing to adjust to when you got a guy throwing 100. Even adjusting it down to the low 90s with a changeup can make all the difference in the world. So there's positivity in some of the arms, but there's also tons of questions. Is Jack Flaherty on his way back? Yes, he's starting to throw again. But the timetable on that is not clear to any of us. And we're getting the Lovie Smith treatment out of St. Louis on the injury. So who knows? The sad news out of St. Louis, and we've talked about this many times, Pete, you've even mentioned this. Alex Reyes is out for the season again. Got to have not reconstructive, but he has to have shoulder surgery, right? He's got a torn labrum. This guy, it's heartbreaking to hear about guys like this. You guys had a story in Mark Pryor, and even in Kerry Wood to some extent, where these guys could have had, Hall of Fame careers, staples in any rotation, just perfect pitchers when they were good, when they were healthy. To not get that consistently, or to not experience what that could be like in your organization, it's tough to watch. And I feel for this kid who's been with the Cardinals organization. It feels like a decade now we've been talking about Alex Reyes, but he went down again, and he's got to start over again, with another rehab, another long time sitting out.
What's his projection of being out? Do they say he'll be ready by the beginning of next
year?
He'll
be done, but he'll be done for this year.
He'll be done for this year, and probably my thought is probably out of options for St. Louis, so he's probably done with them. Somebody will likely take a flyer on him. Could be the Cardinals, could be somebody else, but it's just kind of sad to see something like this, like somebody with so much talent when you saw brief periods of him when he's actually healthy, to not just be able to put it all together. And you feel for guys like that. You really do. I mean, you have no doubt that they're putting in the work. They're trying to get themselves out there every day, and just, the body just won't let them for whatever reason.
So Brian, you said that he's out of options, but he's still in his ARB years, right?
I don't know enough right now, Pete.
I would imagine so. So you could, I could see, you're right. If he's out of options, I could see them, keeping him around through his rehab, and then invite him to spring training and see where he's at. But I think you're right. It's probably his last chance with St. Louis.
It probably
if he can't break camp with the team, they're not going to try and. Well, they might try and slip him through waivers, but with that kind of talent, he's not gonna make it through waivers. Somebody's going to pick him up.
Somebody is going to feel like they can, and it might be completely wrong. Maybe they do. Maybe they have him under control for.
He's got ARB 3 next year, and then 2024 he's in under restriction.
So they still have him under control. So
but one more year.
But being without options, that means he's got to make the team.
Yeah.
Or else he's got to clear waivers, and with that kind of arm. I mean, we know this, right? When you have that kind of talent, you're never not going to be claimed. Everybody is always going to go ahead and they're going to take a flyer on that.
Somebody took a flyer on Carlos Martinez this year. Hasn't worked out.
Right. Hey, speaking of taking flyers, I was gonna try and segue this into the Cubs fans' excitement about bringing Keegan Thompson up, or not Keegan Thompson.
Caleb.
Too much.
Thank you. Yes, Caleb Killian. The Cubs' possibly number one pitching prospect. But that's not what I want to talk about, because the Yankees decided to take a flyer this afternoon.
Ooh.
I don't know if you saw, Elliott, based on your face, you didn't. The Salsa is back in Major League Baseball, baby.
You are absolutely right, Pete. I saw the picture earlier, and I didn't know about this until I saw the picture. Somebody put it out on Twitter. Matt Carpenter was picked up by the Yankees. He had to shave the beard off. He only has the mustache left.
Oh, that's got to look really weird. I didn't see that.
I will text you guys a picture if I can, but you can probably just Google it real quick. Matt Carpenter, Yankees, taking batting practice. Elliott, his stash is, I'm sorry, it trumps yours.
That is nice.
It is.
You know who he looks like? He looks like Maddox. Mike.
Interesting enough, somebody said pick your fighter, and they had Matt Carpenter taking BP for the Yankees, the stash next to Mike Maddox.
Yeah, he looks like Mike Maddox.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
Yeah. So Matt Carpenter getting a shot with the Yankees. His numbers actually weren't that bad at AAA Rangers, but I'm sure he asked for. I don't know if he asked or whatever, but he was released and was free to sign with whoever he wanted to. So he's picked up by the Yankees. Best of luck to the guy. Have no hard feelings towards him, but just glad he's not in St. Louis anymore. But as usual, guys, what will likely happen is he'll go on a 2018 tear.
Yes. He's gonna end the season with like 30 home runs, batting like 245, 250, but he'll have like
just a good batting average these days. Yeah. But anyway, so you know what, Matt Carpenter, he good for him. He got something. He stayed protected, which is important, right? We all know that. Sometimes life throws you a curve, and that's why it's important to have protection. That's why you need Allstate. The Weather Group has 2 locations in Festus and Arnold to serve you. They offer home, auto, boat, motorcycle, business, life insurance, investments, and so much more. They offer a customized approach that is unique to your situation to make sure you, your family, and property are properly protected. They offer great rates and savings. Give Sean and his team a call today at 636-764-6294. They'll help you with an insurance quote right over the phone. Give them a call today. We all have busy lives, so you can call Sean, or you can email Sean, at SeanWiley@allstate.com and talk to him about your coverage options. And remember, you're in good hands with Allstate.
Speaking of being in good hands, I'm just going to warn you Cardinals fans that Cubs fans are about to get obnoxious because, as Elliott and I briefly touched on there, the first return from last season's sell-off is coming up starting on Saturday, I believe it is, right, Elliott? The big return on the Chris Bryant trade, Caleb Killian getting called up, and it looks like he's probably going to get 2 turns through the rotation.
Whoa, because Rossi said earlier today that Killian was not going to be getting called up.
Really? I saw something that said that he was coming, or I'm sorry, Keegan Thompson, my bad. But that's the rumor, though, is that Killian might be getting called up real soon because of the doubleheaders that the Cubs have on the that's the rumor. That he's coming up soon because they have a couple of doubleheaders on the calendar.
And I saw the same thing that Elliott's going to read right now. That
Per
Ross
Patrick
said,
Mooney at 9:51 this morning, Ross said top pitching prospect Killian is not in the mix as the team considers its starting options for 2 doubleheaders next week at Wrigley.
We'll see.
Those service time manipulating stuff.
Maybe he's pulling a Lovie Smith and screwing with everybody. Which
my fingers
we like to call lying.
My fingers crossed because it's looking like
to see him up.
Looking like I may be at one of those doubleheader games against the Cardinals on Saturday. So if there's a Caleb Killian report, I'll try to say somewhat sober.
No, don't do that.
Cub Cardinals rivalry this year kicks off, and we have not. When does this start?
Starts next weekend, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh God,
it's a 4-game set because they're. Well, no, it's a 4-game set because they have to make up one of the games that was delayed by the start of the season.
And we have not scheduled our annual with the Cubs Cards Cast.
No, you're right. We haven't.
Supposed to do every time, so I'll reach out to the guys.
Well, see, now, are we going to do that as we kick this off? Or, I mean, look, we discussed it previously, and I'm about to pull the trigger on it. I think that we need to schedule the first ever live Team of Rivals podcast with all 3 of us at the end of June in St. Louis.
I told you already, and you've ignored me for a year. It's my daughter's birthday that weekend.
Bring her with.
I have a bachelor party that weekend.
Bring them with.
At the White Sox game.
Really?
Why would you go to the White Sox? Come on, E.
Actually, seriously, how about this? I have.
Which game?
Why am I outraged about this? I have
2 bachelor parties in June. They're both at White Sox games.
Wait, which game that weekend?
So
when's the bachelor party? Friday night?
The 11th and the 25th.
And Pete to a White Sox game.
Yeah.
So they're Saturday. They're both Saturday.
Oh, Elliott. So the boy and I are gonna look. It's looking like we're gonna hop on the train on Friday night, or maybe even Friday afternoon, and then we're gonna head down And then I think we'll catch both of the matinees. We're going to catch the Saturday and Sunday matinee, and then we'll head right over from Busch Stadium to the train station, and then get back late Sunday night.
I don't even know.
Good for you, man. That'll be a fun trip.
Yeah, it will. It'd be even more fun if we could do it in person.
I know it would be. Little girl turns 6. Her birthday is that weekend, so we can't. Warned you guys.
Oh, I get some great teams. So the first one is versus the Rangers, and then the second one is versus the Orioles.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
All right, well, so let's look ahead. I mean, this is obviously fascinating listening for our podcast audience.
But the 25th is Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert bobblehead night.
Whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, so the Cubs Cardinals series, it's actually a 5-game set because of the makeup. So it starts Thursday night. It was originally supposed to be a 4-game, but they got to make up one. So the June 4th game will be a doubleheader. So are we looking at Thursday night with Cubs Cards Cast, or do we want to move it up a night and make it later Wednesday in anticipation?
You know what? I'll reach out to the guys and see what they have available.
I can guarantee you that if we do it on Wednesday, I will be drunk by the time that we get on, because I'm going out with the work wives.
I think you've just
that
answered my
sounds like a Wednesday night.
It sounds like a Wednesday night podcast to me.
That sounds like it.
Thank you, Pete, for making that easier for me.
Right.
I'll see if they're available that night. We definitely do that. It's always fun to do it with those guys. I know Elliott has never been able to join that.
I haven't.
But it's usually because it's like on a Friday over lunch, because I love these guys. They're old as shit, and they just they take a nap after lunch.
Yep. No, it needs to be Wednesday night.
Fine. We'll get them.
Awesome.
I know Pierman will be away. Pierman's a youngin'.
Relatively.
Dan Curry's the one that worries me. But we'll get these guys on for another show. It's always great to talk to them, kind of kick the season off between the Cubs and the Cardinals with those guys. They started their podcast where we did, but we took we didn't even take their content. I didn't know about them. Because Pete, we weren't plugged into anything. We had no idea who did what.
And Ron, to be fair, not that we have the strongest work ethics, but we've recorded way more episodes than they have. Like, they are, I give them credit. They get on when they actually have something to talk about. We get on to find something to talk about.
We just get on because, and so if you took a percentage of content that's valuable per episode, theirs
is a much higher
way
percentage.
more.
Theirs is a much better show than ours.
Yes.
But anyway, so yeah.
Well, wait. Let's not say it's a much better show. They have. Look, I would argue, yes, they may have more relevant content,
more focused and content rich show as far as baseball.
Yes, but look, from a listenability standpoint, we're like one of the top.
We fucking bury them.
75% of podcasts.
I have no problem
that are
telling
out
you
there.
that, Curry or Pierman. Love you guys, but you cannot. Well,
when have you ever rubbed your mustache up against a mic?
That's right.
And Elliott's not talking about a microphone there.
No.
Co-worker Mike, he's really quite handsome.
We need to pivot because we've got an important day for us tomorrow. An important day started today in the before I get first of all, Elliott, the whole mustache shit is uncomfortable for me. It's unpleasant. Do you know what else is unpleasant, guys?
What's unpleasant?
Looking at Elliott's mustache.
That is high on the list, but the other thing that's unpleasant is buying a new car. We all know buying a vehicle can be stressful, and it does not have to be. Fifth Street Motors, located in Pacific, Missouri, will help you find the vehicle you need no matter what brand. Fifth Street believes in giving you the best price on a pre-owned vehicle that will fit your budget. Give Brandon or Don a call today at 573-259-1306 and tell them, you know what, screw it. Tell them Team of Rivals podcast sent you.
There you go.
Huh. Take that.
Start recording, punks. All right, so Ron, you did allude to it. Obviously, okay. Look. If you're I know he is. If you're a baseball fan, we're done. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the long Memorial Day weekend. For those of you,
one more sports topic though, Pete. I meant to bring this up earlier and I totally forgot. Before we get on to the other stuff that you guys all think is icky because you have no culture and you grew up a communist. The Blues. Holy shit! I went to bed last night.
Yeah,
I was gassed. And I checked before I jumped into the shower today. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to check my phone because it was 3-0. It was 3-1 when I shut down, and I saw 5-4 in overtime. The Blues have lived
nuts.
I immediately had to go watch the game recap. I'm like, oh shit, man, they tied the game up with less than a minute left, pulling the goalie, which we all know that went well for St. Louis the whole series.
I think it's like 30, maybe. I think it maybe works 30% of the time, or less.
But it's a roll of dice that almost every coach is willing to take, right? Pull that, have the extra attacker, and they tied it up, and then lo and behold, shit, they won it in overtime. I had no idea. I just didn't want to watch it. It was one of those things like, oh man, it's like, yeah.
Usually in hockey, if you've got a 3-1 lead going into that deep into the game, you're like, all you got to do is just keep the puck away.
Right.
So
didn't happen. And I know there's a lot of bad blood there between a couple of the players of Colorado, and Colorado being owned by Stan Kroenke is not a great thing for St. Louis anyway. So the fact they came back and just at least survived to Game 6, they'll come back to St. Louis. We'll see how it goes. They haven't won a game against Colorado in the playoffs yet this year in St. Louis. So there's no guarantee, but anyway, one little tidbit, Pete, before we launch into the other stuff, but I thought, well, you know what? That was a pleasant thing to wake up to. Shocking, but pleasant.
Does that mean we're ready to jump into other stuff?
Yep, sorry.
No problem. I just wanted to make sure that I got the cue right. Look, it's obviously an exciting day. Lots going on, and I think that what we're all most excited about is that the Willow trailer dropped. So, guys, Willow. I think they said it's November. Are you counting the days or are you counting the hours?
I'm throwing for a loop here. I'm sure the Willow trailer did drop, but I don't give a shit about that. Like, did it really?
It did.
I enjoyed the Willow movie. Like Val Kilmer in his prime, Warwick Davis. Willow was a good movie. My kids have watched it recently. Like, we watched it on one family kind of movie night, and the kids really enjoyed it. Of course, I kept, hey, Sam, that actor right there is Wicket, the Ewok in Return of the Jedi. And so I'm like, yeah, it's great, Dad. Stop talking to me. But Willow's a good movie. So I did not see the trailer yet, guys. I know that's not what you really mean to talk about, Pete, but
you're right. The new Andor trailer dropped. And that was
I like how he's working his way backwards.
He is.
That was also
something.
A trailer.
That whole Andor thing. And this may be a good series, Pete. Anything kind of tied to Rogue One has been a pleasant surprise. Like something I wasn't wanting or expecting, but it's all ended up good.
I agree. And I kind of wonder if the fact that we haven't heard anything is tempering my expectations so much that they're going to be exceeded.
Yeah.
I hope so. That'd be nice. I mean,
but I just wonder why are they
story could be interesting.
Yeah. I wonder, like, there are no leaks out of this production.
No.
So that's either a really bad sign or it's a really good sign.
Well, it might be good. I mean, I'll tell you a little bit about.
Well, there's no leaks out of Mandalorian before that came out.
Right.
Well, no, they've done a very good job of keeping things under wrap that aren't like major theatrical productions that take forever, right?
And actually, Dave and John talked about that today with their 15 minutes or whatever that they had. And I tell you what, when Dave Filoni was talking, the only thing I could think of was Ron's impersonation of Dave Filoni.
All of that, yeah.
Yes.
We just got to get you a cowboy hat.
Did he have his hat on?
He had his hat on.
Of course he had his hat on.
Of course.
It's his secular yarmulke.
And when there's something with,
John, I'm not going to get in the cockpit of the pilot seat.
Were you saying that? Nobody can see this. and I'm sorry, we're sorry, audience, that you can't see this. Elliott saying that with that mustache is a whole different experience.
Well, hey, for those of you who are listening to this, hopefully you were already got a sneak preview because it's already been posted on our Twitter account. Elliott's sweet stash now out in the wild.
It is something else,
isn't it?
When he does that little smirk, like raises one lip up a little bit, it just is such a. Is it Ron Jeremy look? Like, what is it?
Hedgehog? Please no. I've got way more hair than he does on my head, not on the body.
Okay.
All right.
Look, we're avoiding it.
Yes.
And obviously the big news, today is that Hasbro is dropping not one, not two, but 3 different versions of the third sister. So they are leaning heavily into that character. It sounds like Lucasfilm is betting heavily on diversity, which hasn't worked out for Disney Plus of late.
You know what? They leaned in really heavy on Captain Phasma too, and all the marketing stuff. And we saw about 8 minutes combined of film time over 2 films on that character. And so they've swung and missed on this several times. So no, I don't buy it, Pete. I mean, we'll have to see the series. We'll have to see it. And we're going to have to see it to know. I heard,
I'll tell you what, I heard a theory, and I think that this is absolutely right. Anytime that you see that, especially of recent vintage with Star Wars, anytime that you see somebody who is a bad guy who looks fairly normal, they're going to turn. Right? You look at who was the Imperial officer in Rebels? Who
Callus.
Callus, yes, thank you.
Agent Callus.
Callus, he looked normal, and he flipped. You look at Bill Burr's character. He was the normal one out of that crew, and eventually he flipped. I think that the third sister is going to flip, because she doesn't look exotic compared to all of the other Inquisitors. And my money is that by the end of this series, she's no longer an Inquisitor.
Serving the Empire.
Correct.
Well, I know, Ron, you watched all of the major cutscenes of Jedi Fallen Order, correct?
No, I have not, Elliott.
You have it. Okay.
I have.
Well,
I heard that's like kind of like watching a movie itself,
it is.
Right? Like,
it's the best cutscenes I've ever seen in any game.
Well, I mean, we've seen, other clips of Jedi Eclipse, which I say is a ripoff of Guardians of the Galaxy. But no, I have not seen the Fallen Order. I have not watched it in its entirety. I think I've seen the clips that were released like right when the game was released, but I haven't seen the whole thing.
It's worth it to watch because they're fantastic and they're
right. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on and watch it, and we'll continue recording after I'm done.
And they do move the story forward too, like not just the story within the game, but it moves.
Right, so what does this have to do with the Inquisitors? I know the Inquisitors show.
So there's an Inquisitor in this game that at the very, very end doesn't necessarily flip, but has a change of heart before Vader comes in and
okay. So it's a thing that happens. I mean, most of these Inquisitors were Jedi in training or Force sensitive, right? So
yes, this one was a Padawan that was kind of turned to become an Inquisitor after Order 66.
Yeah. So what'll be interesting about the show we're talking about that we've avoided is obviously Kenobi debuts tomorrow in a few hours, actually. I will not watch it until tomorrow night. I can't. Got a full day of work ahead of me. Will not wake up early enough to watch 2 episodes that they're debuting, right, in just a few hours. Don't have enough time in the morning. Otherwise, I would. It's going to tear me up all day. I will
wake you up at 5 o'clock in the morning and say, "Dad, let's go."
But they don't pay attention to the news like I do, and so they don't know it's debuting tomorrow.
Oh, you sure?
Pretty sure.
Pretty sure. So, no, I'm not going to get hounded. So, I will turn off notifications with our text chain. Because I know you guys will not be able to control yourselves.
No,
so
I'm not going to be able
to
to see it until tomorrow night either.
Okay, cool.
If even tomorrow night. Might be Saturday morning.
Possibly same.
Just Pete, not just
unless I close my office door.
Irritate you. Like, remember, like there were like critical like Clone Wars episodes, and Pete like, well, I'm going to see it on Monday night. You know, it came out on Wednesday, and you're like, motherfucker, how can you wait 5 days? And he'll do it, and you're like, just so frustrated with him.
Well, here's why. Here's why.
Waiting for Liam.
We're going out. Well, yeah, waiting for my son, and we're going out to my dad's this weekend. And the original plan. So tomorrow is a half day of school. I'm going to pick him up, and their plan was we head out to my dad's. So like we were going to be out to my dad's 2-3 o'clock, have dinner. 3 of us would sit there. We'd watch the first 2 episodes of Kenobi. Nope. One of his earlier games in the season that got rained out got rescheduled for 5:30 tomorrow night. So I'm not going to watch it without my dad, which means that unless the rain that's coming in about 10 minutes and is supposed to continue all through the night, unless
you got to get off the balcony, man.
Yeah, unless it completely soaks the fields to the point where they call the games, we're staying here tomorrow night and leaving for my dad's first thing.
And whenever
Saturday
you
morning.
want it to rain, it won't enough.
I
It'll
know.
rain just enough to wet down the dirt.
Yep.
So you won't get dust, but you will play tomorrow.
Yep, I know. After tornado warnings yesterday.
Sorry, buddy.
Hey, no problem.
You haven't gotten all that rain that's gone through all day today?
Oh, no, we did. But
okay, so weather report in Illinois, we're talking about Kenobi.
Yes. Well, hey, you know what? Okay, we're excited about tomorrow. Let's not get too deep into it because what's the point in speculating? But Elliott, with the big news, at least for our group, I had heard nothing about Star Wars Skeleton Crew.
Me neither. I thought this was a huge surprise.
Was that Jude Law?
That's Jude Law. And based on, I don't know if you, Ron, I don't know if you followed up on it, but Elliot, after you mentioned it to me, I did a quick little search and I read the Variety article on it. And apparently the casting, now this is set for, I think it's November 2023, right, Elliot?
Yes. Yeah.
This is we're looking
the
at
latest show that's going to be of the shows that are coming. So Mandalorian, Ahsoka, all this is way far out.
Yeah. So this is 2 years off, but apparently the casting notices are already out. And in the casting notice, they're looking for 4 children ages 10 to 12.
Yes.
And it's set during the same time frame as like Solo, as Mandalorian. It's post Return of the Jedi, which makes me think Jude Law is going to be some kind of Jedi who is picking up Force sensitives, and that they're trying to reestablish the Jedi Order.
Interesting. I knew nothing about this, and I'll have to research it too. Elliot, I saw your text on that. I'm like, well, I don't know. You never know what these things are. Are they internet guys sending this stuff out? But I guess this is official.
No,
right?
this is official Star Wars. Yeah, they announced this at Celebration.
So Jude Law is dipping his toe in the Star Wars universe. Now, great actor. This would be cool. I dig it.
So here's the story from the Hollywood Reporter, which is basically now the Bible of the entertainment industry. Developed by Spider-Man trilogy director John Watts and writer Christopher Ford, the writer of Watts' Spider-Man Homecoming. It's going to star Jude Law. The series has been rumored on Star Wars fan sites for months, while Law joining the Star Wars universe surfaced in April in the recent Vanity Fair story.
And it's being produced by Filoni and Favreau.
Right, Filoni, Favreau, and there were 2 other names that I haven't been able to find, but Filoni and Favreau are 2 of the lead executive directors. I think Ford is another one. I think Chris Ford, in addition to being the writer, I think he has a production credit as well.
Really cool. It's amazing they kept this one this quiet. I mean, honestly, for this long, and nobody's picked up on it. But Jude Law is I think, great actor, and seeing him in this Star Wars universe, I think it'll actually be pretty great. I mean, they're not going to recruit somebody like that if they don't have a good story, I would think, right? I mean, we've seen what he chooses to do and not to do, and.
Yeah. Oh, and side note too, they officially announced today that Filoni will actually be directing all of Ahsoka.
Not surprising.
That's his baby.
Yep.
Right there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
not going to let
thing.
anybody else mess with that character.
That'll be an interesting storyline, and then tying it into where we left off with the end of Rebels, right?
Yep.
I think that's. I tell you what. I mean, say what you want about some of the nuances or details of his directing of certain episodes of The Mandalorian. As far as a storyteller, though, like there's no denying, like he has it down. And so while details of whatever we might see might be kind of like fall a little bit short, I think the story at the end of it will be there. We'll see some kind of tie into Ezra, Thrawn, Ahsoka, and I can't help but think that we'll get some kind of making sense of this First Order thing somehow, some way. I think it'll tie up some loose ends. I have a lot of issues with the First Order.
Here's hoping. All right, so there's your Star.
If anybody can do it, he can do it.
Yeah.
And it's gonna take a droid episode to do it too.
And he'll do it, and he'll be like, I just think about I was.
Hey, maybe we'll get maybe we will get some kind of special guest appearance by Meeber Gascon. He's not dead.
Gascon. There was a chair on the Death Star when Vader walked in and choked that one officer. You couldn't see who was in that chair.
It was Meeber.
Could have been Meeber Gascon.
Wouldn't that have been something?
Mm-hmm.
Or wait, is Meeber Gascon dead? I think he survived Rebels, didn't he?
He did. Well, yeah. I don't know if was he in Rebels? He was in Clone Wars.
No. I'm sorry, Clone Wars. He survived the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah, he survived that episode. Yeah, so he could have been in that chair that we didn't see anybody in.
He could pop up at any time. We don't really know a whole lot about his species.
He could have a little stupid First Order officer hat on. The dumb ones.
Oh my God!
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't that be incredible?
So there's one character that we haven't gotten yet that's got to pop up in either this season of Mandalorian or this first season of Ahsoka.
Who?
Hondo.
Oh, I'm sure.
I am fiending for a little, like 1 or 2 episode Hondo.
Yep.
Takes them off of whatever adventure they're on, and hey, I can get you this, but I need you to do something for Hondo.
Yeah.
I agree, Elliott. I think that's almost a given.
Yep, I think so too. The guy has shown up in Batu, Galaxy's Edge, all these other things. Like, we don't know how these characters age, like as far as like that species or whatever. It's kind of like it might be like a Chewbacca type of thing, but I have no doubt if Filoni's got his hands in things like Ahsoka, we'll see Onaka show up at some point in some thing that they're doing. I have no doubt. Like he's anything tied to that Clone Wars, this new generation of fans that have grown up, very low risk plugging those types of things in.
Yeah. No, I think it's almost a must to do it.
Yeah, we all love Hondo at this point. So, Pete,
confirming the research.
Yep,
Meeber Gascon still alive.
He is. He was in one of those Death Star chairs, man. I have no doubt.
And I didn't dive deep, so I don't know how long Ziskin life expectancies are. But if there's going to be one that survives all the way through the destruction of both Death Stars, it's him. I'm optimistic that we're going to see him in Ahsoka.
He snuck into an escape pod.
He did. It was a very small escape pod.
That's right.
That's right. All right, look, before we go, because we alluded to it, so let's jump into it. Pete's picks. What movies do you want to know about? Because I've seen a lot of them lately.
Ooh.
Morbius was a mess.
Yep.
I heard that too. Yeah,
I thought the ending was just... Even the extra credit scene, I was just like, really?
You know what? Here, and I've seen this with the other. I've seen this a lot with the other Marvel films. It's gotten to the point now where the CG is so good that now they're overusing it so much that it's now bad. Like it was better when CG wasn't as good. because now you're seeing like that fight scene at the end of Morbius was terrible because it was so obviously computer generated.
Well, and here's the thing, and like I've read a couple articles and I've watched a few podcasts about this. Sony has to use these properties and release movies, otherwise they lose them. So if they don't use these properties that they've purchased from Marvel, they lose the rights of them and they go back to Marvel Disney. So they have to do the Morbius stuff. They have to use Toomes. They have to use all these guys in the Sinister Six that they've got, about to come out. And it just kind of sucks that the way that they're using them, they need to treat them the way that they do Spider-Man, where they need to partner with Marvel and make it more cohesive. I mean, I feel like they even need to do it with Venom, even though Venom's movies have been okay. And I know that they're kind of tying it to it, but man, it could have been just so much better. I felt like,
yeah,
I mean, the bones were there. It was just like you said, it was a mess.
It was, and it just felt derivative and unfortunately with a lot of, and I know I'm not the only one who's experiencing superhero fatigue. It's feeling like superhero movies are taking the same formula every single time, and there's nothing innovative about it. It's just, it just feels like I'm going and I'm seeing the same movie again and again and again,
right.
And it's not. There's nothing fresh about it.
In the two trailers of the next two Marvel Disney Plus shows have way different tones, I feel like, than Moon Knight and some of the other stuff that they've come out with Miss Marvel and She-Hulk.
that debuted last night, didn't it?
No.
I thought it was supposed to debut last night. I thought it was supposed to debut on Wednesday. Yeah, I think because initially it was going to debut on the same day as Obi-Wan, and then they bumped Obi-Wan back 2 days.
Huh.
I think it may have debuted, which tells you just what a massive effect it's had on the pop culture landscape. If we didn't hear about it,
I don't think it did.
I'm fairly certain it was dropping yesterday.
I thought it was June 2nd or June 6th.
You may be right. I haven't been paying attention at all, but I think the original drop date was last night.
Because She-Hulk is August. And it wasn't in their header because I just went through it, even though I know.
Right, I'm looking at it now.
And
I can't say.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
We're talking about Ms. Marvel. I have no desire to watch She-Hulk. That thing looks terrible.
Well,
yeah, no, I agree. It's just I'll watch it just to have context because Bruce Banner's in it, and just because they're going to connect it to something.
You'd like to think they were going to connect it to something.
And because Black Widow's dead, right? So is it the new?
Well, and Miss Marvel is going to be a part of the Marvels movie.
All right.
So eventually.
Shit, I'm already lost on all this. I have no idea about this Marvel thing.
Who cares?
Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel.
Who cares? Doesn't matter. You're right. It hasn't dropped yet. I thought it was supposed to. It was supposed to. It was originally going to drop.
I think it got moved back. Yeah.
That's not a good sign.
All right. So I'm looking forward to Kenobi in a few hours.
Yep.
Or tomorrow night or the next day or the next day or the next day. We won't be able to talk about it all weekend.
Well, here, I'll tell you this. Since I've been disappointed by did you guys see Doctor Strange?
Yes.
Have not.
Phenomenal performances, but once again, a bit of a mess on the execution standpoint. But the performances were incredible.
Phase 4 isn't going well.
No, it's not.
Did you guys see the YouTube video? I think it was what's his name? That was like, is Phase 4 the worst movies out of all the phases so far?
Could be.
Absolutely.
It's always a risk, Elliott. I mean, guys think about it. I'm going to draw a parallel here, and it might not make any sense at first, but like every time that you think about the Star Trek franchise, just for a second. like the original cast of characters, not the cast themselves, but the characters themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Every time they tried to do a new generation of Star Wars or Star Trek cast, whether it was Next Generation, Deep Space, whatever these things are,
right?
Like none of them ever really worked or stuck.
Whoa.
TNG
okay,
worked.
Fine. Next Generation probably stuck a little bit more.
Thank you.
But every time they tried to make another version of this thing, like nothing ever stuck. And what eventually happened is they eventually
brought him back.
I tell you what,
it back. And so you got to think, Pete. I mean, with all this Marvel stuff, like, man, what got this stuff off the ground was the classic characters, the ones that were the core of what made Marvel. Those characters are what carried it. When if they're not there anymore, you got to wonder, like, okay, it's like Star Wars, not like Star Wars.
Yeah,
that core group of characters are what carried that thing and propelled it. Try to pass the baton. It's always a really, really tough thing to.
It is, and I think, I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I really liked Multiverse of Madness. I thought it was great.
Haven't seen it yet.
If you haven't read the comics, then I can see where it can.
But you got to think, Elliott, who they're trying to appeal. These fans are trying to appeal to. Like,
and I understand
have
that
to do that. Like, they should be if you're going to put something on the big screen, like, it should be something that most common people can at least pick up on. And if they can't do it,
right,
then
I understand it, but then you piss off the guys who are the ones who have been reading the comics, and they understand.
Problem is they don't add up, and just like Star Wars in their expanded universe in the past,
right.
and that only gets you so far.
That's talking out of both sides of your mouth, though. If you're Marvel, because you didn't respect the comics when you wrote, and I only know this because of what I've read and heard. You didn't respect the comics when you wrote the Moon Knight series, right? That conception of the characters has nothing to do with the comics, and you threw it out.
The structure of it, yes, but the details, no.
And the actual different personalities of Moon Knight, nothing.
I will say this about Moon Knight, though. How good was Oscar Isaac in playing?
Oh, he was
phenomenal.
Fantastic. Yeah,
he was really great. And while
so was Ethan Hawke as.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was great.
Sure. Yeah, he was really good. Even though I didn't know much about that story, I still enjoyed it. But that's one of those, though, that for Marvel, that I watched it once. I will probably never watch those episodes again.
Same.
It's just kind of one of those things. And
I'll probably watch it before the next season comes out.
Oh, there's another one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
You'll probably watch that once and then never watch it again.
All right, Pete. Let's get out of here.
Okay. Before we get out of here, I got 3 movie recommendations for you guys. Not that you're going to see them in theaters, but when they come out, definitely watch them. Number 1, I saw The Northman last night. And speaking of Ethan Hawke, he has an appearance in there. Northman, outstanding movie. So much fun. Very simple revenge ethic or revenge epic, and it's very straightforward. There aren't a whole lot of distractions. Well acted, very interestingly shot. It's a little bit weird, but it was loads of fun. It was a really good movie. So that's 1. 2, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Ke Huy Quan. If you don't recognize the name, Ke Huy Quan was Short Round and Data. Right. Yep. And he quit being an actor, and he's been working, I guess, as a stunt coordinator, as a martial arts coordinator, especially over in China and Hong Kong. But he's in this.
Is that the doll face?
Doll face. Yes.
Temple of Doom.
Yes. Short Round. Yeah. Shorty. So he's got one of the lead roles. Jamie Lee Curtis is phenomenal in this, and then obviously Michelle Yeoh is incredible. Yeah. Really great. Speaking of multiverse, a really great, interesting, very thought-provoking movie and an action flick, but about a multiverse and about different the different lives that we could lead based on choices. Well shot, very entertaining, very funny, great movie. See it, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And finally, the third movie that I saw, and that every time I've told people this, they're like, "Are you serious?" The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. It's the new Nick Cage movie where Nick Cage plays Nick Cage. So much goddamn fun. Funny. Nick Cage is awesome. Pedro Pascal is amazing. Like, seriously, man, guys, see that movie. It is just loads and loads of fun. You will
What's the name of it again?
Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you this. Another Nick Cage movie I saw over the last couple of years was Willy's Wonderland. Willy's Wonderland is a take on, I think, Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh.
Or whatever it is. Where
the horror game.
Yes, where you're a security guard and the animatronics come to life and they're evil. Yes, it was a movie about this. Nicolas Cage does not utter a line in the entire movie. And he's a drifter, and car breaks down. Of course, it was set up that his car would break down, and he couldn't pay for it because they didn't take credit cards in this podunk town. So they offered him, hey, clean up this amusement park or amusement restaurant.
Shut down Chuck E. Cheese.
And we'll fix your car for you. And they put him in there thinking they're going to kill him. Unfortunately, the evil demons are trapped in there with Nick Cage. It's a movie that will just make you smile the entire time because he doesn't speak a line in the entire movie, but it's 100% Nicolas Cage.
See, and that's and honestly, that's what I really enjoyed about Massive Talent was that it really actually, it does get, because he's playing himself, right? Or at least a version of himself.
He's playing a caricature of himself that's been laid out there over the years.
And the interesting thing about it, and I think it really does get at the nut of Nick Cage, he's a good actor. Yeah. He just makes really bizarre choices. And he is willing to, he's a little bit like Adam Sandler in like,
that's become his thing.
He's willing to do anything. You give him a script, he'll do it. And they actually get into it a little bit about when you're a talented actor like that, the line that you have to walk between only pursuing good scripts and pursuing your reputation as a good actor and the necessities of life, whether it's through divorce, child support, whatever it is, that you take whatever is given to you because you got to pay the bills.
And you treat it professionally. And that's what he's done. And that's become his niche and that's become his flavor. And that's why I will just about, whenever anything comes available, because I can't get out to movies, I've got a lot of young kids at home. I don't have a lot of free time to get out, but whenever something comes out of his, I'm watching it. And Willy's Wonderland was in my wheelhouse last year.
Well, when put a little reminder on Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, because when it comes to streaming, you're going to want to put it right at the top of your list. Right. You will not regret it.
It's there. Willy's Wonderland. If you guys haven't seen it though, just get it. You will smile the whole. You'll look at yourself. You're like, shit. I've been smiling for an hour.
Brilliant.
Well, there's a couple. There's two shows that I just watched that I gotta. So Netflix, The Lincoln Lawyer show, one season was really good. I really enjoyed it. And it's not the whole season yet. I think it's 3 episodes. It's on Paramount Plus called Joe Pickett.
Okay, we'll check those out.
It's really good. So
we'll check them out.
Obviously, The Lincoln Lawyer is based off the books that in the movie that Matthew McConaughey did.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the movie.
Joe Pickett is about a guy who is a game warden in a small town in Montana and has to deal with a murder that happens that the police are like, I really don't want anything to do with it, but through loopholes and because there was an illegal arrow used for the murder, he can investigate it. So it's him doing the job with the police officers, and it's super cool. So,
and before we go, since we're talking pop culture, I would be remiss if I didn't give you guys the review of the Medieval Torture Museum in the loop. We almost glossed over that.
We did.
Oh my God. What a bizarrely fun hour and a half.
Was that a first date or a second, third?
Second date.
Okay.
We had a great time, but also the Medieval Torture Museum, like seriously, if you're looking to kill a couple of hours, I definitely would not bring the kids. there is no way I would bring kids. But if you're looking for a way to kill a couple of hours, it's not a bad way to drop some money. And there are some really, really bizarre torments in there. And you walk around and you just think about,
what would that be like?
Like the bizarre creativity that these sick fucks came up with.
Well, they had nothing else to do.
Right? I mean, and like all kinds of stuff. And look, I played Dungeons and Dragons, right? So you learn about certain torture devices like the rack and like the Iron Maiden and stuff. And there is stuff that I had never even heard of before in this thing. And you're like, where did you come up with that as an idea on how you were going to torture somebody? So definitely a good time, and following it up with barbecue, just a great touch. The brisket really hit well. So round 3 supposedly coming up next week. So I'll keep you guys updated on where we're going.
Good for you.
We're talking about something outside, so I'm hoping that I can convince her to take in the Cubs Cardinals opener next Saturday, and then we'll see where things go from there. So,
right.
And there's another pop culture thing that if she's down for, I'll definitely be up to review that one in 2 weeks, because that's something that's very cool, and I hope that it's something that sticks here in Chicago.
All right.
That having been said, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review and tell your friends to subscribe. We're available on Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Be sure to check out the other Gateway City Sports Network's podcast, which is just talking sports in the bleachers with Don Glenn.
And ours.
And ours. Well, yeah, I know, but I said the other Gateway City Sports Network podcast, which right now is just talking sports in the bleachers with Don Glenn and the Team of Rivals podcast. But you already knew that because you're listening to this.
There are others, but we got to get.
But we're not going to talk about them until they start producing some more content.
That's right.
You can send us an email at the show at teamofrivalspodcast.com. You can find Elliott on Twitter at
TOR_Elliott.
And you can find Ron at
fuck me.
TOR_Ron75.
Ron, I think you should change your handle to oh fuck me. I think that would be amazing. I'm going to see if it's available. I'm going to reserve it for you.
He's tagged in like the porn kitty shit.
Oh, that would be amazing.
No.
Please stop calling.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Ron, my friend, thank you for your service. I know Memorial Day weekend isn't for that reason, but still, it's right to recognize those who've served for us. So
appreciate that.
Thank you for our service to our country, and obviously to Elliott and I, because Elliott gets to be a state champion because of guys like you.
That's right.
That's true.
Because of guys like me.
I get to grow mustaches because of guys like you.
That's right, guys. Great to talk to you again tonight. I know we do this whenever we feel like it now instead of a steady schedule, but glad we got to do it on Thursday night again. And you know what? We'll be back maybe same time, same place next week. But fuck it, we'll do whatever we want. We love you all so much. Bye, everyone.